Christ, according to John. Jesus told them, "The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Very truly, I tell you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single kernel. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. Anyone who loves their life will lose it. But anyone who hates their life in this world will keep it for eternal life. Whoever serves me must follow. And where I am, my servant also will be. And my Father will honor the one who serves me." The Gospel of the Lord. Some of you are well trained in church. I like that. Don was known both inside the fire service and in his family as a hero. He was a first. I mean, name your first. He's one of the very first professionals, but he was also a paramedic, one of the first paramedics to serve as captain, one of the first paramedics in the fire service. They were known as the Dirty Dozen. So there are lots of sins there we don't need to unearth today, but pray for the repose of the soul of all the spouse. And he was a great man. And he did investigations on some of the most controversial events in Phoenix over his time as investigator. Served under and served with some great men and women in the fire service. And he was funny. Really, really funny. And occasionally had trouble following the rules. Oftentimes when we come to these moments to rejoice and celebrate someone's life, we come with this narrow slice of a perspective on someone. And part of what our job is, and those of us who do this work of priesthood, is simply to hold their life up and to see where the gospel comes shining through. And quite literally, Jesus said, there's no greater love than to lay down your life for your friends. And so we often come to admire the men and women who serve in the fire service for their willingness to lay down their life for others. But it's not just the moment of heroism. It's a lifetime of choosing to serve those around you, to love your kids, grandkids, to serve your wife, to be present, and to do the work of being a good person. It doesn't hurt, from my perspective, that he was a carpenter. God's got a thing for carpenters. Had a son in the business and all. And yeah, he did serve in the fire department at a time when, it was the 1970s. The rules were a little more porous than they are now. But he did what he did to get the job done, to that higher purpose that all of us are called to, the greater work of serving our city as a small slice of God's creation. Our families is a small part of God's family. And in that service, he became a good man. And so today, his family is going to tell us a little more about him. I know we have a couple of folks that would like to speak. But for all of you, know that it is a city that loves you and stands with you today. Okay, if I have to fill the time, I'll have to fill the stories the firefighters told me, and they're terrible. That's,
I have to have my cheat sheet so I can deliver. In behalf of youth, I would like to thank all of our friends and family for the outpouring love and respect over the past few days. It has been an extraordinary. And each story we have shared will help keep Papa Don. Papa Don alive in our hearts. I'm sorry. 5 days ago, when we heard the news, time stopped in a bit. My husband, Mark, and I took a deep breath, sighed, and tears started falling. Since then, my mind has been thinking through my relationship to this amazing man, which is now 3.5 years since we knew him. Though it seemed short, but I see Papa Don 5 or 6 days a week, which totaled a lot of time compared to some of my family and friends I've known over a decade. Every time I came into the door, dropping off or picking up my daughter, Tegan, Papa Don will always try to get up and greet you first, hi and hellos. He did this to everybody. How's your day? He smiled and always make you feel you are welcome in his home. He was a true gentleman. He will offer help all the time, even if you know he has a difficult time to walk in the later days. All the time I will hear him saying, youth, can I help you? All the time. He will volunteer to take out the trash, to mow the backyard, to clean and everything. And Mama Youth will just smile and assure him that she got this. The love, the truest partnership, the friendship, the happiest marriage I witnessed with Mama Youth and Papa Don. They met almost 19 years ago in the Philippines. His friends, the two Dennises, can tell the story. And they have been together for almost 18 years now. It's a love story that is so cute to hear. One day, I am curious on how Papa Don met Mama Youth. I asked Papa Don, how you met Mama Youth? And he answered, I don't know. I bet she have tricked me. And continues, I love you, Youth, because Mama Youth was listening over the kitchen. And then we laughed. And so I asked Mama Youth, do you have, because I've heard that Mama Youth have a love letter from Papa Don. Mama Youth kept his love letter like a champ. It's very old and yellow, but Papa Don's handwriting is still very clear. I read loud his love letter while Papa Don is listening, smiling and having a good time. And the best line in there that I was moved is when Papa Don said, I am the happiest man sleeping in this room, thinking that you, Mama Youth, is in the other room, and I feel you are close to me. Darn, that was big love. Isn't it romantic? Like thinking Mama Youth is close, even she is in the other room. He was a true gentleman, full of respect to the woman she loved. Amazing. He was good, quite simply more good. He has qualities that made him the finest man many of us will ever have had the privilege of knowing. As we put our great friend, our grandfather, Papa Don, life to rest today, we buried only his body, his spirit, his soul, his amazing ability to give is still with it. It lives on in the stories people are sharing of how he touched their lives, in the love that is visible in the eyes of his children, his family, and friends. Thank you, Papa Don, for all the love you showered for Tegan and for making us part of your beautiful family. The best story I could share with Tegan, Papa Don and me, is when it's over 100 degrees outside, and then Mama Youth texted me that I need to get some milk. So I said, it's okay, Mama Youth, you can leave now because I'm already like just in the corner. But Papa Don sometimes forget. So when I arrived, I know that Tegan was sleeping in the other room, but I asked him, Papa Don, where's the baby? And the Papa Don, like, shocked and said, Mercy, did I leave the baby outside? And then he was so worried that I am worried. So I said, no, I'm just kidding, Papa Don. She was just sleeping in the other room. And he said, I'll be darned. So that's always his expression. Things will never be the same, but the world is better for the years Papa Don lived. To Mama Youth, the sweetest woman I have known, who devoted and dedicated her entire life to love, care, and make Papa Don happy. I am sorry for your pain and losing him. I hope it gives you some measure of comfort to know that your boss loved and cherished all you did for him his entire life and love you to no end. You have friends, extended family that will just be here all the time for you. Just a text away, Mama Youth. You will never be alone. God has a plan. We have to accept it and go with it. We don't know what God's plan is, but it's something special. And that's why we will keep our faith and hope all the time. Farewell, Papa Don, until we meet again in the other side.
That's awesome. Wow.
I'm going to read a letter, or as I think, chronicle, written by Papa in probably 2000, 2001 while he was in the Philippines. This man had a wonderful way of chronicling everything in his life. Like, you knew that his stories were true because he had photos and documents and newspaper clippings to go with it. He wrote his own life story as he went. And this is a beautiful letter on his thoughts at the time. But bear with me, I'm reading off my phone. Just photos of what he had written. It is titled, Suddenly, You Are Not the Oldest. When I was a young boy growing up in Mitchell, South Dakota, I was very lucky. My parents were alive, although I did not live with either of them. I had an older brother and 2 sets of grandparents. There were many aunts and uncles and cousins. Also, there were family and friends and school friends. I lived with my mother's parents. My brother lived with my mother. She could not afford to keep us both. I loved my grandparents, and they were very good to me. My father's parents lived very near, so I saw both sets of grandparents a lot. My dad's father did not like me. I don't think he liked any kids. My grandmother made up for it with custard pudding. Imagine that food. My father lived in Chicago, Illinois in a shelter. He was an alcoholic and I only saw him twice in my life. John Haynes and Dick Baker were my 2 friends that I met in church, and we were all 6 years old. They're all still my best friends, and we live near each other in Phoenix, Arizona. Time passed and my mother and brother moved away for a better job. My father was drunk and passed out in the snowbank, caught pneumonia, and died. My brother joined the Army, and 2 years later, also, I joined the Army. Baker, Haynes, and I all went together. When I got home from the service, I decided to go with a friend to St. Louis, Missouri, Swenson. He had an uncle there, and he worked construction, and we got jobs as carpenters. Sweet got home sick and went back to Mitchell. He ran for sheriff and was elected. He is now a U.S. Marshal. I stayed in St. Louis for 8 years, first as a carpenter, then as an iron worker, working high-rise. High-rise construction, that's crazy. I went to work for a company that sent me all over the U.S. doing jobs. I would hire local men to get the jobs done, and in Washington, D.C., the weather got so bad, very deep snow and more every day, bitter cold and windy. I picked up a magazine that showed a picture of Arizona with a large saguaro cactus and the sun shining. I packed up, quit my job, and drove cross country to Tucson, Arizona. I later moved to Phoenix and got a job on the best fire department in the US. I loved being a fireman. It was great to help people of all kinds of emergencies. We lost some and we won many. We could tell that we had a positive effect on so many lives. It was truly rewarding. During all those years of traveling and changing jobs and living in different cities, something happened that I didn't notice was changing in my life. My family, my loved ones, my relatives were passing away. First, my grandpa Koepp. I didn't miss him because we never did really like each other. And then my grandma Shay died. My grandfather Shay died. He raised me and I loved him very much. I was in St. Louis and could not afford to go home to see his funeral. Over the years and over the miles, my loved ones died off, both grandmothers, then aunts and uncles. My favorite cousin died, a young man from liver cancer. Of course, the hardest was losing my mother and then my brother. My mother didn't recognize me the last time I visited her because of Alzheimer's that she had the last 4 years of her life. I would talk to her and touch her cheek, but she had no idea who I was. When she died, I did not go for her funeral. I should have. In 1996, I had my knee replaced and got an infection. They had to remove the knee and wait for 5 months while they fought the infection. They did not expect me to survive. My brother came to visit from Virginia. He said that he wanted to see me once more before you die. 2 months after his return to Virginia, he died from lung cancer. Bob and I never were really close as brothers should be, but I still miss him. All of this brings me to where I am today. In the Philippines, it is a custom to take a rest in midday. In Mexico, it's called a siesta. I woke up from my rest a few days ago here in Bohol and realized that for the first time, or maybe just the first time I've ever thought about it, that I was the oldest still alive in my family. It's a little scary knowing that you're near the end of the road. I've done some things that I am very proud of and some things that I'd rather forget. Whatever time I have left, weeks, months, or years, I want them to be worthwhile. I want them to be happy times, and I want to make other people just as happy. He did succeed at that, and we love him very much. Thank you.
That's cool.
As we come to the closing of the service, we'll close with one more prayer, and then the honor guard will do our final honors. Don, may the God of peace, who brought again from the dead our Lord Jesus Christ, the great shepherd of his sheep, through the blood of the everlasting covenant, make you perfect in every good work. May he work out in you that which is well-pleasing in his sight, through Jesus Christ, to whom be glory forever and ever. Amen. That's beautifully timed. Rest eternal grant to him, O Lord, and let light perpetual shine upon him.
His
May
phone
his
is
soul
right.
and all the souls of the departed, through the mercies of God, rest in peace. Now please stay seated for the Phoenix Fire Department Honor Guard presentation. Honor Guard, let's go. At the south. Forward, march.
honor guard ceremony rest. Good morning. On behalf of the Phoenix Fire Department, Fire Chief Kara Koepp, her senior staff, the leaders and members of the United Phoenix Firefighters Local 493, over 2,000 brother and sister firefighters, and particularly on behalf of the Honor Guard and Pipes and Drums, thank you for allowing us to be here to honor Captain Donald Koepp. He's not just a brother firefighter, but he was a co-worker of Captain Helene and myself for many, many years. He was a remarkable man, one of the first paramedics in Phoenix, one of the very early captain paramedics that provided medical services while supervising the crew of a fire truck. He was in the first class of law enforcement officers employed by the fire department as a fire investigator. That's where Mark and I had the honor of serving with him as fire investigators, being both firefighters and law enforcement officers. And then he went on to open the hazardous materials enforcement unit for the Phoenix Fire Department. So we're here to remember our friend.
It's interesting, Don, that the three honor guardians here today were all law enforcement officers, but I got diverted. I took the wrong test for the first 20, 25 years, and I finally saw the light. It's a privilege to be here. It's been a privilege to research our history and our archives for the last few days and pull up things about Don and see his coat that he donated to Historic. It hangs in the bay every day. We pass by it. This is the firefighter's prayer. When I am called to duty, God, wherever flames may rage, give me strength to save a life, whatever be their age. Help me embrace a little child before it is too late, or save an older person from the horror of some fate. Enable me to be alert and hear the weakest shout, and quickly and effectively put the fire out. I want to fill my calling and to give the best in me, to bring my every neighbor back to their family. But when it happens on some day, my earthly tasks do end. Please bless with your protecting hand my family and my friends.
It is now my privilege to read the bell ceremony. Our fire service continues to change. We have newer technology and we have safeguards, but we are also faced with a variety of new hazards and challenges, as well as those old hazards that were always present. In his service, from 1967 to 1997, Captain Koepp experienced those changes. In the fire service, we are steeped in traditions, some of them 400 years old. One such tradition is the sounding of a bell. You see, it was the bell that signaled the start of a firefighter's duty day. And through the days and nights, each alarm was sounded by a bell. It called firefighters like Don and his crews to fight fires and to otherwise place their welfare in jeopardy for the good of their fellow man and woman. When the fire was out and the alarm was ended, it was the bell that signaled the end of the call and the return to quarters. When a firefighter made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty, giving their life, it was the mournful toll of the bell that signaled the passing of a brother or sister firefighter. We seek strong words, symbols, and music to help us when we lose someone. And today, we use these words, these symbols, and this music to express our feelings, our passion, our sorrow, and our respect for Don, for his family, for his crews, and for you, his friends. So Don, our fallen brother, we give you the sounding of the bell, a special signal of 3 rings to tell you that it is the end of these earthly duties, and that we are calling you to quarters one last time. I'd like to ask all uniformed personnel, firefighters, and retirees to please stand prepared to render a salute. shut. Captain Donald Koepp, your earthly tasks are now complete. Your duties you've well done. The bell and pipes now toll for you. You are going home. Honor guard, face. Present arms. Order, arms. Please be seated. Ceremonial rest.
Please stand. Sure and certain hope of the resurrection to eternal life through our Lord Jesus Christ, we commend to Almighty God our brother Don, and we commit his body to the earth, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. May the Lord bless him and keep him. The Lord make his face to shine upon him and be gracious to him. The Lord lift up his countenance upon him and give him peace. Amen. May his soul and all the souls of the departed, through the mercies of God, rest in peace. Amen. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God.